Hello people! Today I'm going to be showing you how I made my Halloween nails for this year. I have already got them on, and I'm afraid you're going to have to watch me struggle through polishing with my offhand. But I'm going to start off with just black polish, gel polish. I don't know what happened when I was doing my good hand. I swear I pressed record, but it did not record, so you can see I've already done the 4 fingers of the other hand, so you're going to see me do this. It's take me a little longer on this one because I'm not so great using my offhand. I've sped this up to double time, so hopefully it'll help a little bit. And there's a lot of cleanup that happens when I'm doing this side because I'm not real steady with using my right hand. I wanted this set of nails for this year not to be so in-your-face Halloween, so I was going for something a little more subtle. Although there was kind of a lot of steps to them, in the end I think they came out pretty decent. And once again I've got sloppage on there. I really had a hard time with these, getting them to not be so messy. And underneath we got sloppage. But as you can see, the way I paint my nails is do 4 fingers of one hand, 4 fingers of the other hand, then I do the 2 thumbs together. I found when I go to cure, if I use my whole hand and put it in there, that the thumb is like at a weird angle and it just doesn't get cured as well. So I do them in sections like this. All the products I'm using will be listed in the description box in case I forget to tell you as we go along. You can use any black polish will do for this. Now those have been cured. I cured them for 90 seconds. And we're going in with the second coat. Now some of these nails that are going to have foil on them, I really didn't need to do a second coat, but at the time I was polishing them, I hadn't fully decided what I was going to put where yet, so they all got 2 coats. And don't forget to cap those ends. I suppose I could have sped this up a little bit more. For those wondering what that weird noise is in the background, I had somebody ask about it a while back here. I finally figured out what it is. It's my computer. It makes that kind of a noise. I don't totally notice, but as I was sitting here the other day, I was hearing it. Like, aha! Now I know what's causing it. I thought it initially was the fan, so I don't shoot with the fan on anymore. But now we've got the computer itself, and there's nothing I can do about that one. And more cleanup. I seem to be a lot messier when I'm using black polish too for some reason. I don't know why, unless I'm getting slop on my fingers with the other colors and I just don't notice it as much. And somewhere along this whole process, I managed to get something on my hands that spread through my whole hands, because the next 2 days after that, my fingers were all red and swollen and super itchy. I can't really wear gloves doing my own nails. Okay, those have all been cured. Another 90 seconds. Now we're going to the foil, using the foil gel. When you put this on in thin layer, recently I did some and I put the foil gel on too thick and then it wrinkled on me and then I had a big problem. Luckily I was able to fix that. But what we're going to do is this foil has the metallic backing, so you need to clean it with some alcohol. I'm not really sure why, but on the metallic-y ones you got to do that. So that's what we've done there. I chose this black foil because it has a little bit of blue-green kind of light, metallic-y stuff to it in the right light. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but it really looks kind of cool in the sun. So we're going on with the thin layer of the foil gel. I will cure this for 60 seconds when I get it on there. And I try to get a little bit on the ends too, so I can try to get my foil to lap over the end a little bit. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We're just going to be doing 2 fingers on this hand. A tip, if you're going to be doing foil on all of your nails, don't put the foil glue on all of them at one time, because you'll end up getting stuff stuck to it as you're going along, like working on one and then the other ones are sitting there all tacky and things are going to get stuck on there. Plus it seems like the longer it sits, then it doesn't want to, the foil doesn't want to stick on there as well. Okay, those have been cured. 60 seconds. I'm going to take the foil, starting with this little one, and we're just going to put it, I'm going to lay it on there. I suppose I could have cut this into 4 little pieces, but I didn't. I've got a silicone tool I'm going to use to just rub it on the whole nail very thoroughly. You can see on some parts down there by the free edge where it's already transferred and starting to lift up. I'm just going to give it a very good rubbing all over. Some parts of this I'll use my nail to rub if I feel like there's an area that needs to have a harder rub on than that, like right around the edges there at the tip. Just going to use my nail and rub that on. And there we go. So you can barely see the bluish tinge to it. Now there was a little bit up around the cuticle area that I felt like didn't totally transfer, so I'm going to just get this edge up here and put it back on there. See if I can't get it to rub on, and it's being difficult. Okay, we got some of it on there. And I'm going to go for a little bit on the end. Being that there's no like set design to this kind of foil, you can just put it on anywhere and do it. You don't have to line anything up, which is nice. And I believe that should take care of it now. And we're going to move on to the index finger. We'll do the same thing. Just make sure when you put your foil on there that you put it on there right where you want it, because once you lay it down, there's no picking it up and moving things. That's it for it. Which, like in this case, isn't as big a deal, but if you were doing one that had a pattern on it, you definitely want to get it where you want it the first time. Okay, see how it's already stuck down and lifted around the edge? You can see where the foil's lifted away from the acetate or whatever that is. Okay, I'm just going to give it a good rub down again, and this one came out a little better. I found that if I leave the foil, after I've cured the foil gel, if I let it sit for maybe 30 seconds or so and then put the foil on, it seems to stick better than if I do it right away. Okay, I'm going to move on to stamping on top of there. And I'm going to use this stamping plate and some Born Pretty polish called, what was that called? Tulip Celebration. You can see where I've already done a little bit on that design. I tested it out on my toenails, so I knew it was going to work good. Okay, we're just going to put the polish on, scrape it off. You guys have seen stamping enough times probably by now. And oh, notice I got my new stamper now, since you saw me ruin my other one recently. Get that where you want it, and on it goes. I really didn't need to press that hard. That's how I ruined my first one. I have to be careful. And this is how I clean them off, because I never showed that part. It's always been off camera. I've got a lint roller. I just lay on my desk and blot it off with that. Then we'll take some acetone and clean that extra stamping polish off. Now you can use liquid latex. A lot of people do that. Put it around there and then just peel it off when they're done. Frankly, the easiest way to do it for me is to take a piece of tape and just lay it along the edge of your finger, and it will pull that right off. But I didn't have any tape in my desk, and I was too lazy to walk out the kitchen and get some right then. So I just cleaned it off with the acetone. Now in between stampings, I just clean off my plate with Q-tip with acetone on it. When I get done with the whole thing, I'll take a cotton pad with acetone and just wipe down the whole plate really good. Clean it up, all the way. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the one. Well, I'm going to stamp the pinky on my other hand next, because I had another design I was going to put on the index finger, but it didn't work out, so I ended up doing the same one on there too. Okay, same as before. Blot that off on the lint roller and clean the stamping pad up. Well, first we're going to clean this off. Sometimes you get little bits of the stamped polish sticking up at the edges. You can just like tap them down and they'll just stick on there. Now this is where I accidentally picked up alcohol instead of acetone, so I'm sitting here wondering, why isn't this cleaning off very well? In a second I'm going to realize what I did, and then I'll switch to the other. When I have all these things out on my desk at one time, I get kind of... So I'm wondering, why isn't this coming off of here? Like, oh yeah, you dummy, you picked the wrong stuff up. Let's see, watch, it'll come off much easier now. Now what you might want to do too, before you stamp over top of the foil, you might want to put a thin layer of top coat over that in case you mess up your stamp and you need to wipe it off, and then you don't want to ruin your foil. I didn't do that on here because I was fairly certain I wasn't going to have an issue. I could have been wrong, but luckily this time I wasn't. Okay, I'm just going to show one more time, doing my index finger. Now this is where I had tried to switch to a different one and realized it wasn't working out, so we're back to this one again. I don't know if it's because now I'm using a better stamping polish, or the plate's just better, or the weather's not quite as hot, that the stamping went much nicer than I had been having a lot of problems lately. This one worked out pretty nicely and smoothly. Okay, I'm going to clean that one off. Didn't get as much overage on that one. Okay, we're done with that. Now we're going to move on to the top coat. On the stamped nails with the foil, I'm going to be using a glossy top coat. And I used Beetles top coats for this whole set. Surprisingly, I have no glitter on these. I will be getting my bling on here though. And you want to make sure that you cap your ends off with your top coat also. And now I'm going to switch to a matte top coat for the rest of them. Or at least for the other two that you're going to see me do. Sorry for the shaky camera again. I keep bumping my head on the darn thing. Unfortunately, the stand thing that I have it attached to only goes up to a certain height, and I can't make it any taller, so I'm not bumping it. And I will be curing these for 60 seconds. And then we will be moving on to the carving gel. Now, you see there's a red gel up there. Originally, what I was going to do was take the orange and mix some red into it to get a deeper, darker orange. But then after I got it opened, I decided it was orange enough and I was going to just go with it as it was. So I didn't end up using the red one. But I got these carving gels off of AliExpress a good while ago. I mean, probably a few years ago now. But we're going to use them for the pumpkins today. I'm going to take a chunk of this out. And I'm just going to make it into a little ball. And it's going to go on my middle finger. I'm also going to start with a little bit of the gem glue. And put that underneath. Now you can just press it on there without that, and when you cure it, it should stick, but I found that sometimes when I've done that in the past, that after a while it will pop off of there. So now I just put the glue under it. That glue kind of looks like it's off to the side on there, because originally I was thinking of doing 2 pumpkins on this nail, but then I changed my mind and only went with the one on my middle finger. So I'm going to squish it down a little bit. And then I'm going to get it on there eventually. Did not want to get off my finger. And of course there's the hair. Okay. Now I'm going to just kind of squish it down and get it into the shape that I want it to be. And then I'm going to get a little brush with some alcohol on it, and I'm just going to smooth it out and get my fingerprints and whatnot off of there and kind of smush it down a little bit more. And then I am going to use this pointy end of my cuticle pusher tool to make the pumpkin lines on here. Just gently going to push those in there. Now as I'm doing that, I'll tell you on the carving gel, I know some carving gels, I've seen people that have gotten them and they're really runny, and then you can't work with them like that. But I know that if you take acrylic powder and mix it into the carving gel, it'll thicken it up, and then you can get the like clay consistency that you're looking for. I haven't had to do that, but I have seen other people doing it, so I know that it does work. But I'm going to get once I'm happy with my lines, which clearly I'm not yet, but once I'm happy with those, I'm going to cure this for 2 minutes. I'm not really sure how long it's supposed to cure, but I'm just going to give it the full 2 minutes just to make sure it cures all the way. And in we go. Now it's been cured. Now I'm going to move on to the little stem and the leaf on it. Now this is the green I had, and that looked like way too bright of a green to me. So I'm going to take a little bit of this brown and mix it with the green to darken it up. I had never done this before, so this was kind of an experiment, but actually worked out decently. And I'm thinking too that all of this playing around with this on my fingers with no glove, I'm pretty sure that's how I got the problem going on my finger pads. But how I got it all over the back of my fingers, I don't really know where that happened at. And I'm just going to try to give this a good mixing and see how it's darkened it up so it's not as bright as it was. I'm just going to get a little chunk off of there, and that is going to be the stem. I was going to stick it on, and then I realized, whoops, I got to get glue on there first. So I started to try to pick it up with these tweezers, and I was not having any luck. Eventually, I'm going to just pick it up with my finger and stick it on there. I tried to do it this way, and it would not come off the tweezer, and it was just, the glue was starting to get everywhere, so I finally had enough of that and just used my finger for it. And I'm going to also get the brush back and just kind of smooth it out and shape it the way I want it. I had a lot of fun working with the carving gels. It's given me some ideas for some stuff that I might do down the line here. And that's going to be, a little piece is going to be for the leaf. Okay, I'm going to get the leaf on there, and then I'm going to, once I smooth this out, I'm going to get a silicone tool, a pointy one, and I'm going to use that to make the leaf, just flatten my leaf out and shape it a little better. Now I tried to use this pointy end to make the little leaf veins on part of it, but it wasn't working real great. I use it on this one, but when I do the other ones, I ended up using that pointy end of my cuticle pusher tool to do the leaf veins. That worked better. Okay. I think, maybe not. I think I'm happy with that, and I'm going to cure it again for 2 minutes. And then I am ready to start on the thumb. I'm just going to show you this thumb, and then that's all we're going to see. But on this one, I am going to put 2. Now, initially, I had that, and then decided it was way too small, so I'm going to end up making it bigger. On this one, I wanted to have like a taller, thinner pumpkin, and then the short, kind of regular, roundy one. And now I'm realizing that was not enough, so I had to just combine those two together to make it bigger. At some point, I'm going to try to make some roses out of the carving gel, but I don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to see. And I've got it all over me now. Okay. That one is going to be the taller of the two, so I'm kind of sort of shaping it out a little bit. And then we're just going to get the glue on there, and then we're going to stick them on and finish shaping them. I'm trying to use a little bit less glue on this because the first one I think I got a little too much. Not sure how much I'm liking having these big chunky things on the end of my nails, and because they hang over the sides a little bit. But we'll see how it goes after I've worn them for a while longer. And this is the taller of the two. You may be wondering why I didn't put them all the way down to the very tip of the free edge, because I didn't want that really super fat tip to be on there, because I do use my nails occasionally for prying things off and, you know, trying to open things and do stuff, and I didn't want that to be super thick at the end. I'm going to smooth them out, and then we're ready to make the lines on there. I think there was a hair on there again. I mean, after all, I couldn't get through a whole set of nails without having to pull off at least 1 or 2 hairs. Also, you might note as you're using as I'm doing this part of it, it's causing it to squish out and be a little bit wider and bigger. So maybe want to be aware of that when you put your stuff on. You don't want to make it fully the size you want it, because that's going to get bigger as you press into it like that. And once I'm happy with these, I'm going to cure those. And they've been cured now. Now we're going to go with the stems and the leaves. As soon as I get the glue on there. I don't know why I didn't just go ahead and put that on with the, when I had it on that tool. I could have just laid it on there. Funny how when I go back and watch this stuff, I see all the things I could have done differently. And we're going to just shape it up. And then eventually, once I'm done shaping the stems, I'll get the leaf on the tall wood. Frankly, I ended up messing around with this a lot longer than I think I really needed to. But you do have to get it exactly how you want it, because once you cure it, that's it. It's on there, and you're not changing anything. Okay, I think I'm finally happy with that, and I'm going to go ahead with the leaf. Now I forgot to pick up glue for the leaf on this one. I just stuck it on there, so far so good. It's been staying on. Hopefully it will stay. It's pretty thin, so I think it's probably glued on there pretty well just by itself. Okay, should be about ready to cure this. And it should be going in the cure. And it's cured, and now I'm going to use the matte top coat. You can see I've got a little tiny bit on there. I'm also going to take just the teensiest little bit of the black polish. And what I'm going to be doing is making, what do you call it? Like I just wanted to put some shading on the pumpkins a little bit. So I'm going to just mix these up. Just take a little bit of the black and mix it in with that top coat. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to use that to do the shading by just putting it down in the creases of the pumpkins. It gives them a little bit more dimension. And I will also put some down in the leaf. And then I will just cure that for 60 seconds. And I'm done. I did put some a little bit around the outside edges, and where the shorter pumpkin overlaps the taller one, I will put a little bit along there just to give it a little bit more dimension where the overlap is. Okay, and they will get cured. And now I'm going to be using gel paint, some black gel paint. And I'm going to be putting the little jack-o'-lantern face on just the one pumpkin on my thumb. Originally what I was going to do was use an X-Acto knife to cut out the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern shapes out of the carving gel, and then just have the black polish underneath. But I don't have an X-Acto knife, and didn't get a chance to get out and get one, so I ended up just painting on. But we're going to use a very fine detailer brush and just get in there and put those little teeny tiny triangles on there for his eyes. I gave up the idea of doing the jaggedy looking mouth with the teeth because it was so tiny, and so we opted to just go with a smile line for the mouth, which makes him a little cuter rather than scarier. And I did have a little bit of an issue painting the mouth because it's going over the creases, you know, the where it's dented in. I had to get the paint down inside of those little creases so it would look like a continuous line and not be all broken up. And I think I'm going to just widen the mouth part a little bit on the bottom part of it. And smooth it out a little. Once I'm done with this, I'll just give it a 60-second cure. And being that it's gel paint, you don't need to worry about top coating over it. And now we're ready for the crystals. I've got these orange crystals. All these came from AliExpress. I've got these AB crystals that they were kind of yellowy, but they had a little bit of a bluey purple look, and then the gold caviar beads. I thought those ABs would be good to pick up the blue that's in the black foil that's on here. And we got the old trusty gem glue out. Now you're going to see me do a swoosh on my ring finger. Now if you look in the picture, this is not the same one. I used my offhand for the picture because I like the way the swoosh came out better on my other hand. This one came out kind of more like a big C instead of curling back around like I wanted, because I got too far over to the side. Like right there, I shouldn't have been that far over to the edge. So if you look at the picture, you'll see a better looking swoosh than what you're going to watch me do right here. Sorry if you can hear that noise. Somebody's doing some crazy thing outside. I don't know what they're doing. We live in kind of a rural area, and the people around here they're doing all kinds of nonsense at any hour of the day or night. You never know what you're going to get. I'm going to start off with the biggest one. There was a hair on there. The biggest one, an orange one, is going to go in the center. There's a hair on the end of my picker-upper tool. And then I'm going to alternate with the ABs. And I'm going to make a little bit smaller. And as they get out to the ends of the swoosh on either end, they're going to get smaller and smaller. Standard crystal placement. I'm sure you guys know how to do this by now, but in case you're new, that's why we're doing it that way. Trying to find one that's the right size, I mean. And then I'm going to look for a teeny tiny one to go on the end. I think what happened too is my having my hand like off to the side, laying sideways a little on some of those. I think it caused that whole line to move over, to slide over a little farther than what I really intended it to be. You see, I'm going to push it back over a little bit, but I think it slid over more than I really wanted it to, and I just didn't correct it enough. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I am going to get a tiny little brush, an old detailer brush, and I'm just going to put a dot of glue at the end of the line and in between each of those, because I don't think I had any glue squooshing out of this one. I've been trying to be a little bit more conservative with my glue placement on there, because I usually end up with a big bunch of it. And then if there's too much, then the crystals do slide around on you a lot worse. And I think there was another hair or something. Okay, and then I'm just going to go down this side. I'm going to put in between each of those crystal area, I'm going to put a little dot of glue so I can place my caviar beads in there, and they'll sit nice and flush up against those crystals. Now you want to do this part before you cure, because if you have any glue that has squished out and then you put your caviar and then you cure and then you got to put more on there to put the caviar beads on, they are not going to lay flush in there the way you want them to, because you're going to have a little glue dot already hardened, and then you're going to add another one on top of it. So you don't want to do that. This time I had too many of those stuck on there and they weren't coming off. Sometimes you can pick up several of those caviar beads at once and you can just dot them on where you want them. Sometimes it works, sometimes they don't cooperate. Don't worry too much if you do have glue sloppage getting out of there, because we'll fix that at the end with more top coat. Although try not to have excessive amounts coming out of there, because then it will look a little sloppy. Once I get these down that whole side, and I'm going to get one on the end, down there at the tip, and then I'm just going to come up the other side. I suppose I could have sped this part up a little, but I didn't think about it at the time I was editing. At least you only have to sit through one hand of it, as I did the same thing on the other hand. And now I'm just going to go back and make sure everything is lined up and flush the way I want it. And make sure I don't have any of the beads just sticking out too far. I'm giving it a final once over. And when I'm happy with it, then I'm going to cure it for 2 minutes. I'm not really sure how long you're supposed to cure this gem glue. It doesn't say on there anywhere. Probably don't need 2 minutes, but I like to be doubly sure that nothing's going to be uncured. And now I'm going to move on. That's been cured. I'm going to move on to this middle one, where I'm just going to do a little bit across the top of here. And on here I'll just be doing one orange, kind of a medium-sized one. I'm not going to go with this bigger one as I used on the other one. I'll do a medium orange, a couple of ABs on either side, and then some small oranges at the end of the line. Then I'll fill in with caviar beads again. Once I'm happy with where those are, then I'm going to get my glue and start to dot that in between for the caviar beads. And once again, I'll have one at the end of the row, one bead, one caviar bead, and then the rest are going to go in between. Now you can see where I've got some glue slopped there on the part of it. That'll get fixed and covered in with the top coat at the end. Now, remember how I've told you guys a bunch of times now, if there's a way for me to knock something over and spill it, I will find it. Well, if you stay tuned as I'm pulling my hand out of the curing lamp, you're about to see it happen. I left it in there because I know you guys can relate, because we've all done it at least once. And I thought you guys could get a laugh out of it. Once I get these guys, whoops, I bumped the camera again. Once I get these on there, I'm going to make sure they are where I want them. And they're going to go in the lamp. Okay, and there it is. I wasn't even sure how I did it, too. Didn't feel like I bumped anything, but there we are. Not only did I have them all over the table, they were on my lap, on the floor. I had to stop and clean that mess up. Geesh. Alright, now we're moving on to the thumb, where I'm just going to I'm kind of going to do the same thing I just did on the middle finger, just on the corner of my thumb, not across the whole top. I know this video is kind of on the longer side, so thanks for sticking it out. There was a lot of steps to this set. On another note, though, this is my second full set that I've done with the poly gel. This time I did not use the forms since I had so much trouble with those the last time. I just put my tips on there as I normally would for acrylics, and then I just used the poly gel over the top. It worked out quite nicely. It was like one blob of poly gel, and I was able to pull it down over the whole nail and do it in one go, which was nice. It was kind of like if you could do it with one bead of acrylic, which I've never been able to do since I'm not that great with acrylic. It takes me several beads usually on each nail. I just seem to have problems picking up the big bead with that. But with the poly gel, it worked out quite nicely. I was pretty happy with it. I believe I'm looking for another one of the smallish ones. Not the teeny tiniest small one, but there's like a next to the littlest one size. I don't know the sizing on any of these things, as I don't pay attention to that usually. And then we're going to go get ready for the caviar beads. And I will get those on. This is another one where I ended up with kind of a excess glue on there. You can see it where it's shiny. That will be no problem to fix. And we're almost there. Just a couple on the back of here. And then I will just make sure they were all lined up the way I want them. And it will go into cure once I'm happy with it. And then we will be in the home stretch. Okay, I'm just taking alcohol and I'm wiping down the gems to get off any of that waxy stuff. Now you'll notice there's yellow on my wipe. I'm thinking, because I've noticed this lately, on those AB ones, I'm guessing there's some chemical they put on there to make them have that color shifting look. I noticed this on my last set that I did at the shifting color autumn crystals I had. So I don't know what that is exactly, but, well, just a note of interest. Okay, now we're going back to the matte top coat. And I will, like, kind of butt that up against the edge of those crystals. You don't want to get any of that on the crystals, or they won't have a shine to them. Even if you were using glossy top coat, you don't want to get that on top of your crystals. I probably should have used a detailer brush to get into some of these areas, but I didn't. So there's some parts where I've gotten kind of an excessive amount where I will go back and try to wipe some off and smooth it down, which is what I believe I'm doing in this part. But once I'm happy with that, that'll get cured, and then I'll move on to the other ones. See, this one here I really should have had a detailer brush for. I'm going to do the same thing on here. I think it was this one where there was a hair in it that I was trying to get off. Yeah, there's a hair in there. I'm trying to get it out. Because it wouldn't be a set made by me if I didn't have to stop and pull cat hairs out of it at least a couple of times. Now it's all messed up where I pulled the hair off. And I'm just trying to smooth it out. Now sometimes you'll see me wiping my brush into the bottle again. I'm not picking up more stuff. I'm just wiping the excess off the brush so I can take some of the excess. Oh, there's the hair. I thought I got it the first time. I guess I did not. Okay. As I was saying, I'm trying to get some of the excess top coat out of there because you don't want to flood it with way too much. Once I'm happy with that, then we're going to move on to the last one on that hand. Another hair. You'd think my cats would be bald by the amount of hairs that I find everywhere. But nope. Now I've got mass amounts of top coat off of there that I flooded part of that, or like I just told you guys not to do. I'm going to clean that off with some alcohol, and I'm going to move on to the last one there. And we're going to do basically the same thing. This one's easier because I don't have to work around those pumpkins. There's a better close-up of me doing that. Just butt it up against there. It's okay if you get it on your caviar beads, although with the matte, you may not want it on there. With glossy, it's not that bad. Plus, it protects the finish on the caviar beads because sometimes it will wear off. But like I said, don't get it on your crystals. I'm just trying to smooth it out a little now. And I will give that a final cure after I clean it up. And something was there I didn't like. I think it wasn't looking real smooth in there. Eventually I'm going to be happy with this and I'm going to go ahead and cure it. And there they are, all done. As you'll see when I put my other hand up how the swoosh is different. See, I like the swoosh on my left hand better. But if you enjoyed my video, please give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And thank you very much for watching.